The year 2020 has been quite agreeably the most difficult year for the world and for gaming and entertainment. With most of the year production and delays, it has also been an amazing year filled with outstanding award-winning stellar games that filled 2020 with memorable games we'll play long into next year. But 2020 was also host to some huge, hype-accelerated games that should have wowed fans but left them disappointed. This is the top 10 worst games of 2020. This is Colteastwood. Welcome to the channel. A special thanks to the sponsor and collaboration of this video, NordVPN. We're all gaming online, interacting to learn more and share a gaming experience with people around the world, but is our connection to the gaming world truly protected? NordVPN provides a safe, encrypted internet connection to the sites and resources that protect your identity, your personal information, and most importantly, your privacy. NordVPN will unblock content across regions, giving you access to shows and content restricted from your home country. It can also remove paywalls from region-bound websites for subscriptions and booking tickets, saving you money. The biggest benefit of using NordVPN is your anonymity. Internet service providers are legally required to collect your browsing habits on websites which are also being sold to marketing groups. Safety, security, and privacy, all thanks to the use of NordVPN. Nord was selected as the best VPN in 2019 with multiple awards and all green check marks from PC Mag Online. Special holiday deal, every purchase of a 2-year plan will get you an additional 4 months free at nordvpn.com/Colteastwood. To get 60% off of NordVPN, use the coupon code Colteastwood. Grab the deal today. Links in the description. Today we are looking at the top 10 worst games in 2020 according to Metacritic. There are hundreds of low-rated games this year in the 40s and 50s out of 100, but this is a list of the most prominent, popular games that we have buzzed about for over a year. We'll start from the best of the worst, and then to the very worst from 10 down to 1. Ubisoft is one of the biggest game developers, and they make some of the biggest, brightest, and most beautiful games across multiple genres. And some of their franchises are hit or miss. Watch Dogs has been mostly a miss. Although it is a widely popular and played game, Watch Dogs Legions was sort of a title no one really asked for but won over critics with its showing in high-tech London. The game promised a city full of agents to sabotage their way through the authoritarian UK, but ended up disappointing fans with widespread save bugs that deleted entire game progression, glitchy AI and interaction, and a stubborn 30 FPS presentation on next-generation consoles in lieu of console ray tracing. Cheesy and annoying characters and cliches made Watch Dogs Legions a 70 on Metacritic, and we hope for a much-needed win for this techie, anti-establishment game. A video game of video games, Battletoads is a beloved beat-em-up from the 80s and 90s on many systems, and the Toads have been waiting, while gaming evolved for years, to come back bigger and badder than ever. It was a shock to see the Battletoads return in the form of a small indie team just 4 people strong, under the funding and approval of Xbox Game Studios. Battletoads arrived in hand-drawn animation, looking less than the Super Nintendo we remember 30 years before, but gameplay surprised with hard-hitting action and humor. De La La Studios completely omitted online co-op, which made no sense in 2020, especially with everyone stuck at home, and pacing for the game ruined the feel of the entire game with slow and sometimes frustrating puzzles. Battletoads was a fun 5 to 7 hours, but ended its brawl with a 69 Metascore. One of the biggest games of the year came from Square Enix and one of the most massive franchises in the galaxy. Marvel's Avengers promised the world with lifelike visuals inspired from the movies and fast-paced combat, gunplay, and traversal that brought the superheroes to life. Marvel's Avengers instead brought incredible disappointment, calls for refunds, and in the end, 1 million free copies sent out in marketing deals to try and keep a quickly dying service-based game alive. Performance on console was debilitating, and the lack of a true in-game with pointless, meaningless loot destroyed the chance of Marvel Avengers besting looters that have tried and failed as well. Marvel Avengers fizzled out with a 68 Metascore. Remasters are almost always a sure bet, giving players the game they once loved but improved visually to keep up with ever-evolving tech. Mafia Definitive Edition did that quite well, but Mafia II Remaster did not. This is one of the best in the series, but received a slack attempt by basically porting the Xbox 360 or PS3 console version up to the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, with a slight resolution bump and little to no other improvements. Mafia 2 even had last generation textures and multiple stereo audio bugs. Fans lined up to rebuy this game to relive Vito Scarletta's epic adventure, but ended up asking for a refund. Mafia 2 got a 66 out of 100. Ninja Theory has a near perfect record of making absolutely incredible visceral games for the past 2 decades, and with Hellblade in the pipeline for Xbox, their smaller 12-person team had created Bleeding Edge, a team-based 4v4 competitive melee and class-based online game with colorful characters set to launch exclusively on the Xbox. The gameplay and visuals were a treat, but the overall game and longevity left so much to be desired, and the team updated the game as much as they could, but nothing could turn Bleeding Edge into a viral hit like Overwatch. With just a few modes and new characters coming, fans quickly dropped off from the new brawler and moved on. Bleeding Edge stayed behind in the battle arena at a 66 Metascore. One of the first next-generation showcases for the PS5 was Gearbox-published Godfall, a 3-player melee looter with mechanical beasts and shiny, visceral, sword-wielding fantasy worlds. Godfall evoked God of War combat with parries and lootable upgraded gear like Destiny, but never seemed to deliver on any of those aspects. Fans hoping for something fresh that left behind gunplay in favor of swords quickly set down Godfall and moved on to bigger and better games on the PS5. Godfall launched on the PS5 with a 61 out of 100. Crytek has been MIA since Rise Son of Rome and decided to reemerge with a half-baked remaster of Crysis on console and PC. Even with 13 years since Can It Run Crysis, the new remaster barely looks better on PC and the latest consoles, with performance bugs and pared-down physics to dull the experience. We waited 13 years, we could have waited a lot longer. Crysis Remaster got a 59 out of 100. Exclusive to the PlayStation, Predator Hunting Ground is an asymmetrical multiplayer game that had fans salivating for the return of the Predator to bleed green on the PS4. What they got instead was a huge, disappointing, unfinished game with no single-player component and a rough offering online. Fans had much more enjoyment in the small extension of Predator and Ghost Recon Wildlands, but this time, Predator can wait for another attempt. This one isn't it. A 56 Metascore. FYQD, a small Chinese development studio, wowed fans at the Xbox Showcase in May 2020 with a beautiful next-generation looking first-person melee shooter combo game with blindingly fast weather-saturated effects. But what Xbox fans got instead was a paid $9 demo that should have been free, a 30 to 40 minute tromp through a last-generation looking shooter with underwhelming visuals and trite gameplay that feels like it was made for the Xbox 360. The full game, Bright Memory Infinite, is coming to all platforms, but this paid demo made by one person did not impress fans looking forward to the full game. Bright Memory got 55 out of 100. The biggest game of the year and possibly the decade was the worst in the year, according to the console Metascore among the most popular. Cyberpunk 2077 is ambitious, futuristic, and on Xbox One and PS4, the most buggy, ugly, and lacking in performance of most any game in recent memory. Cyberpunk was hailed on PC with 90s and 100s, but the massive delays and total blackout for console reviews and actual gameplay to be shown on the Xbox and PlayStation, CD Projekt Red worked quickly to get the console versions patched, but the damage had already been done. One of the biggest differences of Cyberpunk on this entire list is that the game is unanimously loved by those that actually got to play it on next-generation consoles and powerful PCs, even with the crashes and quest bugs and save-breaking problems. Cyberpunk got an 86 on PC, but for console, it ended 2020 as the worst game with a 54 out of 100 on console. Most of the games on this list, like most games, were loved by millions of players and found fans regardless of a Metacritic review score. The developers that bring us the games we love continue to support and improve or create brand new games that will surprise us and bring us hours of enjoyment with friends in their created worlds. Each of these games on the list have redeeming qualities of great visuals or fun gameplay, but sometimes it takes both of those things to transcend the lowest rated or lowest selling game. And the bright side is that these developers are not giving up and will bring us something even better on their next release. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for watching and joining me this year in game and console coverage. Making this video is funny because I enjoyed a lot of the games on this list, regardless of what critics or sales figures said. I always try and find a redeeming quality to a game and get the fun intended, but I thought it would be interesting to look back on this year with a slight sneer, all in good fun. Cyberpunk is not only one of my favorites of 2020, even though it is the lowest rated here, but I got to play it on the Xbox Series X, and it is such an addictive, enjoyable, immersive game. I've had such a rewarding 2020, even though I've been working from home, away from my friends and family. In 2020, on this channel, I've had over 9 million views, grew over 45,000 subscribers, and had an average like ratio of 93%, which is incredibly impressive when you remember that I'm an Xbox channel. So thank you to all of you who support and the comments that have helped teach me along the way. If you ended up enjoying this video, show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to go a little further, you can join the channel membership below or the Patreon and get early access to videos and monthly giveaways. I have one new one coming this week. I hope all of you have a great rest of the year and an even better 2020. Cross your fingers. Thanks for all you've done. Enjoy the holidays. And as I always say, please be nice.